This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
The last 3 weeks all saw Le Mans, Spa and Monza combined, 3 extremely fast tracks. For this weekend though, we had set our indicator for the exit towards the circuit park Zandvoort. With that, our drivers see before them a break from the long straights and have to focus so much more on their technical abilities. Who can manage that best, or who will lose the most? With the answers to those questions ahead of us, a big welcome en goedemiddag vanuit Zandvoort with the Grand Prix Legends live here on the Global SimRacing channel via the iRacing eSports network. The crew to give you all these stats and storylines will be Ryan Walker, joining myself, Stefan Schlacher. Turning the knobs and pushing the buttons behind the scenes is our director Sean Craig Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. Being between 1952 and 1982 30 times the host of an F1 Grand Prix, this track has seen a lot of history. Let's add some more with our GSRC lap guide.
Alright, we've got Ben Zocco in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Zandvoort. Coming down to Tarzan, this is far and away your best chance for an overtake on this circuit. Don't let the banking fool you though. You can try to pass around the outside, but it's quite difficult. From there, be sure to hold to the left and get ready for Gerlach. This right-hand chink is very single file with a sharp crest. It also leads right into Hugenholtz, which acts like a mirrored version of Tarzan. The big difference here is the exit is an incredibly steep uphill climb. Now in most cars, you're flat out all the way until Schivlach, but in the 49, you're modulating the throttle through Hunsrück and Slotemacher. And then you need a giant lift through turn 5, which brings you directly into the braking for Schivlach. This long sweeping bend's only saving grace is that the hill to the outside means it's unlikely your car will spin all the way into the Armco if you lose it. But from there, we come to the newer infield portion, and first up is the very tight Marlboro. You'll notice that the track keeps up a gentle curve. This tends to catch a few drivers out. Then you'll brake for Renault, which is the first of a set of double hairpins. That doesn't give you much time before you need to swing off to the right to set up for Vodafone. This is a rather critical turn because it takes you onto one of the few long straights of the track. It's also one of the only spots where you're fully on the throttle in the Lotus 49 for more than a second or two. Because of the long braking distances, you're actually on the binders as you come over the rise and then down into the Audi S. Drivers might attempt passes into here, but it's incredibly easy to get tangled up in open-wheel cars. As you carry the speed off the corner, bring it back to the left and then throw out the anchor yet again for Kumho. Don't be afraid to get greedy with a curbing at the apex. From there, you've got to wait patiently through Lyondike until you can really ease the throttle fully down. Just make sure you don't drift too wide onto the front stretch, and if you held it together, you've now finished a lap around Zandvoort.
Joe Peak doing what nobody can do better, talking you a lap around the Zandvoort track. Ryan, we have seen now quite a little bit of what makes this track so challenging for the Lotus 49. What else can you add to that, numbers-wise?
Yeah, Zandvoort, an absolutely fantastic track, famous for hosting the Formula 1 Dutch Grand Prix back in the 70s and 80s, and also recently host of the Blancpain GT series, but today it'll host the Lotus 49 series. The track is 2.68 miles in length for 4.32 kilometres, has 13 turns, 9 of them being right turns and 4 of them being left turns, and as the track says, it's located in Zandvoort in the Netherlands.
Yeah, and one thing we can already say as we go over to the F1 Drivers' Championship, your first place driver Mick Claridge sitting at 187 points. He is not here today, probably opting to do a little bit of Daytona 24-hour work instead, which will give quite a good chance to Roman Paslowski, who's only 17 points behind, to take over that first place from him. Rob Olenek also not too far away, 21 points behind in third place, with Sadro already sitting 48 points behind, and Ovid Trengerade, 5th place for him, 89 points behind, so already quite a bit spread out the back half of the top 5 in the F1 Championship. How are we looking for the F2 Championship, Brian?
So the F2 Championship is currently being led by Bill Tyler at the moment in 93 points. 12 points behind him in second place is Antonio Ruiz, and then 23 points behind in third place is Matt Yeomans. 29 points in fourth place, Colin Coker, and rounding out the top 5 with 30 points behind is Andrew Eng.
Last but not least, as they had back in the days, we also keep track of the Nations Cup, which was back then the Constructor Championship, so to speak. We have in first place still the United Kingdom, sitting at 224 points after 5 races. Behind them, Germany just 14 points behind, and the United States 18 points behind. But then you can see 4th and 5th, Norway and Australia, way back already, 126 and 134 points behind. So I would be surprised if they come back into that fight for the top 3. Probably will just stay between the UK, Germany, and the US. Now, for today's race, Ryan, why don't you talk us through the numbers for this one?
So some details about the race for anyone that's watching the series for the first time today. This is round 6 of 12. The race length will be 20 laps, and the setup is an open setup, so any changes you want to make, like suspension, tyre pressors, camber, ride heights, anything like that in the setup, you're free to do so. The incident limit, if you get 17x, that is automatically a penalty, and if you get to 25x, that means that you will be disqualified from the race.
And as always, a quick reminder that you're watching this broadcast on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure to like and especially subscribe if you haven't done so yet. You'll know if you haven't, as that button will still be right just under this broadcast. Speaking about the broadcast, we're already in qualifying, only about 3 minutes to go in qualifying, and Michel Tourignon sitting in first place, about 4/10 ahead of Rob Olenek, and then it's another 6/10 down to third place, Daniel Sadler. So really showing Zandvoort who is boss to those Lotus 49 drivers.
Indeed, just looking at the times as well, there's quite a good turnout today as well, considering the Daytona 24 is currently taking place today as well, or is currently running, with the Friday night split running as well. So, but it's still good to see a good turnout. Good to see the likes of Billy Wright, Bill Tyler, and Antonio Ruiz, also Ove Trengerade as well, and also Robert Plumley. So good to see some good names still out on track today.
Now, though, a quick message from the Grand Prix Legends community to you, their fans. They would like to kindly ask you for a donation into their broadcast fund. If you'd like to find out more about these donations or their broadcast fund, please have a look into the description of this broadcast. Every dollar counts. From the Lotus 49 community, thanks you very much if you decide to donate into their broadcast fund. Let's see who still can challenge Michel Tourignon for that first place. Maybe one of those names is Ovid Trengerade, as Marcellus Breuning and Antonio Ruiz are completing their laps. Both didn't improve from theirs, but Ovid Trengerade, after his first lap not counting due to an off-track, he's right now going through the last few corners of this track. Obviously, we're still on the old version of this layout. Thus, we do not have an extremely banked last turn, which would probably help these Lotus 49 cars with their low grip capabilities to get a little bit faster out of that last corner, as Ovid Trengerade goes on the line with a 34.7, good enough for third place.
That was a good lap from Trengerade. That was a good finish to the lap and managed to qualify in P3 just ahead of Sadro. And yeah, just looking at the time, Steph, they seem to be really close, especially up at the front.
Antonio Reese still is on his second lap. Oh, never mind. He already put in 2 laps. So, pretty sure we are done with qualifying for right now. As we're looking for some... No, everybody is already done with the laps. So, let's head over to the grid for today, which will be led once again by Michel Dudignon. Not the first time he has done this season. Rob Olenek is going to be in second place, just to the left side of Michel Dudignon, of a Triangulate third place, Daniel Sandro fourth place, Roman Powslowski fifth. Not the best qualifying from Roman, so we might see him try to gain a few positions right at the start. Philippe O'Brien, 6th place for him, while Bill Tyler lines up in 7th place. Bruce Nelson, 8th place. Antonio Reese, 9th place. And running out your top 10 of this qualifying will be Andrew Eng.
Starter in 11th place is Marcellus Brunian. 12th place is Andres Bruno. 13th is Colin Coker. 14th is Rob Plumley. 15th is Telmo Amaral. 16th is Marco Ravioli. 17th is Rodney Evans. 18th is Herbert Prince. 19th is Colin Bentley, and rounding out the grid is Robert Reynolds.
So this should be set for a great race today. As you can see, the clouds have moved a little bit. We're now to partly cloudy, 21 degrees Celsius in the air and on the track. The wind's quite high with a 15 km/h wind from the south. So yeah, these guys most definitely will not struggle with that wind because they don't have an aero to speak of. Just some little bathtubs with quite a big engine strapped on the rear as we are getting ready to drop the green flag. There we go. Good launch from Michel Dudignon, who really leaves Rob Olenek in the dust. But also Roman Powslowski already up to 3rd place from his 5th place, gaining pretty much the row ahead of him. Great start by everyone else as well, as we have some side-by-side action through Tarzan Bocht, but everyone seems to have gotten cleanly through it.
Yep, no issues in the field so far. Everyone's kept it clean through the first couple of corners, and currently leading at the moment is Michel Dudignon, but not far behind him is Rob Olenek with Roman Powslowski in 3rd place.
Yeah, 4th and 5th, that's over Triangulate and Daniel Sandro. So really, the big story of this start is Roman Powslowski in his Lotus 49. Let's see what he can do. Coming up to the next few turns, obviously Bocht 9 now, which they are going through. That right-hander, very tricky to break because you still have to turn a little bit there, Ryan.
Yeah, it's one of those corners that you want to brake and turn at the same time, but from my experience, it's always better to brake in a straight line and then turn into the corner. But it's with these cars, you can't really do that. It's you've got to be really patient with it.
Oh, Roman Powslowski going very wide through the entrance of Hans-Ernst Bocht. Really loses out about 3-4 car lengths to the 2 guys ahead of him. Not what he hoped for, as now also through Kumo. Not very cleanly, not very fast either, as over Triangulate right under that gearbox after Lotus 49 ahead of him. Let's see if Triangulate is able to do something down into Tarzan Bocht. For the second time, they head down into the braking zone, and nope, over Triangulate can't overtake.
As further back down the field as well, it looks like it looks like Billy Wright's in a battle with Bruce Nelson, Bill Tyler, Andrew Eng, and right behind them as well as Marcellus Brunin.
Yeah, also can report that it seems like we had already some incidents. Antonio Reese in the pit lane alongside Colin Coker. Not sure what happened to them, but most definitely a little bit of an incident involving at least those two, as we're still looking at that battle for 6th place. Philippe O'Brien still leading that train, and there's already quite a bit of a gap up to Daniel Sandro of about 2.2 seconds. And Ryan, it actually seems like we have the replay on what happened to Colin Coker in the first lap.
Yeah, just waiting for the replay to come up, and we'll see what happened. But Coker having an issue in the early stages of the race, and just looking at him now to see what happened, and it looks like it could be. Not sure what happened. I don't know if he had contact with another car or not, but As they're coming up to the chicane, and it looks like he just lost it under braking.
Yeah, not the best way to start a race off, especially into Hans Ernst Bocht, but probably on the first lap, that's where most of the incidents happens, because it is a little bit of a longer straight as a train raid with a drift competition style entry into turn 1. That's 9.5 points from me, because he kept his 4th place. Of a train raid with the save of the early stages of this race. Look at that sideways moment. Probably about 90 degrees crossed up on his steering wheel there to save that one. Well done though, as he still is in 4th place ahead of Daniel Sandro, but most definitely now completely lost the back end of Roman Pawlowski.
I believe that drift that he done in Scandinavia, they would call that the Scandinavian flick. So that was nice to see that from Ove.
And just now, Marcellus Bräuning, seeing what Ove does and thinks himself, I can do it better. And yeah, he did save it quite nicely through Masters Bocht, but right after Bocht 9, he nearly lost it into the grass. And I think that one was a little bit of a weird one. Seems like he has some damage prior, already going through Schieflag. Yeah, it seems like he hit the wall at Schieflag, which is the reason why he went Tokyo Drift style into that turn, as he now also disconnects and most definitely had some damage that accompanied that drift.
Is back up at the front. It's still Michel Dudillon leading at the moment, and he's managed to build up a bit of a gap to round about 1.5 seconds. So Michel's slowly pulling away, but to know with the last couple of races that he's been doing well, and he's had some issues strike him. So yeah, I think Michel might be a bit might have that in the back of his mind.
Yeah, Michel Dudillon, the Frenchman, always very fast on twisty tracks and not very good on the brakes though this season when it comes to the fast tracks of racing. So most definitely Michel Dudillon did lose quite a lot of points on those fast tracks, but he tries to make up for everything that he has lost so far with really putting Rob Olenek a little bit down and about. As also Roman Pawlowski now had a very big mistake through Schieflag, it seems. So yeah, Schieflag and Bocht 9 is where most of the mistakes are made right now. Coming ahead to end lap number 4, it's still Michel Dudillon ahead of Rob Olenek. There's about 1.5 seconds between those two right now. And because of that mistake of Roman Pawlowski, he is now about 3.6 seconds back. As Ravioli and Plumley were side by side for a moment there, going into Hans Ernst Bocht. But seems like Colin Bentley, my bad, decided better of that. Riding on board there with Marco Ravioli, as now Colin Bentley goes to the left side because Marco made a big mistake out of Iron Lundig Bocht. He makes it happen into the braking zone for Tatsan Bocht, so that's a good pass for Colin Bentley, as he now makes a big mistake though through the middle part of the corner, but still is able to take away 12th place from Marco Ravioli.
Just look at the battle for P7 between Bruce Nelson and Bill Tyler at the moment, and these guys have been going at it for I think the early stages of the race, so for most of the early stages of the race, and it's a good battle between these guys, and also not far ahead of them, Daniel Sadro and Ove Tringared, they're battling for 4th position as well. So through the field we've got different battles going on at the same time.
Yeah, and we have to go quickly to Roman Pawlowski, because Roman Pawlowski most definitely is losing a lot of time because of his mistake through Schieflag. If we can bring up the times between Pawlowski and Sadro, you will be able to see that he's constantly losing about a second to a second and a half to Daniel Sadro in the last 3 laps. As Pawlowski last lap though 34.9, so he has recovered a little bit again, but most definitely lost a lot of time to everyone around. There we go, there you can see it. Lost 2.1 seconds in that lap number 4. So yeah, I don't know what's up with Roman right now. He seems to feel a little bit of damage, but seems like he got accustomed to it already quite fast.
Yeah, it's quite. Yes, sometimes it's normal. The start of the race, you can excuse me, you can be in the zone or in the groove, and then sometimes during the race it can just go away and you just lose your focus a little bit. But yeah, I think something's going on through the field. I'm not sure what.
Instead of settling in, a lot of people are starting to make a lot of mistakes, which isn't very common for a Lotus 49 series, as Rob Olenek and Michel Dudignon are still about 2 seconds apart, so at least that gap is staying steady at top of the field. As we're riding on board there with over Triangle Raid right behind Daniel Sadler, let's look how good they can exit the last turn, both very well. Going right out to that exit curb, and once again over Triangle Raid just continues to be stuck behind Daniel Sadler.
Daniel's doing a good job of not defending, but keeping Ove behind him. We know how quick Ove can be in this car. It was just unfortunate he had a bit of a mistake in the early stages of the race because he fell back, and I think he could have been right up there battling for the win. But between him and Sadler at the moment is still going on, and if these guys keep squabbling amongst themselves, behind them Billy Wright could possibly close up to them.
Oh, Sadro goes way off track, over track, where he gets a little bit loose because of that. Gets irritated by Sadro. Sadro able to keep it together over the gravel. That was a very, very, very intense few moments for Sadro.
As the replays up now, this looks like Sadler might have just carried too much speed and clipped the grass on the outside, and yeah, he just done the best thing, or made the best decision just to let it run wide instead of trying to save it and possibly hitting the wall.
Because of all of that, they are now very close to Billy Bob. Right, Bruce Nelson makes a mistake now through the Hans Ernst Bocht, which keeps Bill Tyler now even closer to the rear of Snelson. Let's see if if Tyler is able to do something after Ari Lundig Bocht. Coming to end lap number 7 of this 20-lap race here in on the circuit park Zandvoort. As no, Bill Tyler just not good enough out of the last turn, and once again continues to be behind Bruce Snelson.
Just looking behind these guys as well, it looks like Colin Bentley and Robert Plumley are still battling for what looks like 11th place. So yeah, these guys have been close together as well for quite some time, and they're just outside the top 10.
Just outside the top 10, but still fiercely battling for that 11th place, as you said. Robert Plumley, Twitch streamer, trying to defend that 11th place from Bentley. They have gapped Marco Ravioli quite a bit. He's 8 seconds behind, but pretty sure they won't really be able to gain anything else on track right now, because Robert Plumley has an 11.2 second gap up to Andres Bruno in 10th place.
As back up at the front, Michel Dudillon still leads by nearly 2 seconds now. He's in a bit of no man's land at the moment, and yeah, he's as much as Michel is quick in this car, the last couple of races, like I mentioned before, he's had issues strike. I believe at Spa he was having brake problems. So yeah, unless he's fixed them for this race, but he's doing well at the moment. But looking at the gap now, he's managed to get up to 2.3 seconds. So he's pulling away more and more.
Only ever so slightly, though. 2.5 seconds it is now. So he is only gapping Rob Olenek a few tenths per lap. So the gap isn't, or the speed gap at least, isn't all too big as now. Telmo Amaral ahead of Michel Dudinot goes a little bit too wide to let him past Michel Dudinot. I don't know. I mean, one thing we can most definitely say in this race thus far, the Circuit Park Zandvoort most definitely has shown everyone who is a boss here today, because this field has spread out quite immensely. We have 17 drivers on the lead lap and they are spread out, 16 drivers on the lead lap and they are spread out by about 1.5 minutes. So yeah, Zandvoort showing really how tough this one can be in the Lotus 49.
Absolutely, especially through the long right-hander. It's if you get that wrong, like we've seen with Daniel Sadro, it can bite you. And if you get it
now
wrong,
Marco Ravioli, as you're speaking, makes the mistake through. Shivlak nearly loses the car coming back onto the tarmac, but he lost the position to Antonio Rees.
There's replays up in the screen right now, and it looks like Ravioli might have just made the same mistake and just went offline and just ran wide into the gravel, but luckily he's managed to keep it going.
Yeah, now also the dirty tires made him make 2 mistakes through Bocht 9 and Bocht 10. So he's lost a little bit more time. Now also goes wide at the Hans Ernst Bocht. So really not the lap of Marco Ravioli, that 9th lap of this race. So we're nearly halfway done already with this one, as we have entered lap number 10 and looking at lap number 11 soon.
I have to say, it might just be me, but this race is absolutely just flew by really quickly. I don't know if it's because Zandvoort, it's technically, well, I guess it's a shorter track than most of the other tracks that we go to, but yeah, it's flew by, and the racing so far has been absolutely great throughout the field.
On board right now, looking over the engine of Bruce Nelson, back to Bill Tyler. As always, the great cameras by Dougie Beard showing exactly what goes on in and around the cars. Once again, Bruce Nelson, a little bit of a mistake into Hans Ernst Bocht, but they are starting to catch the guys ahead of them, as they had to lap Herbert Prinz, who is a lap car. Philippe Wright got pulled up a little bit there through Kumo, as he was able to get past Wigan.
As close together, Snelson and Tyler are still battling for P7. Further back as well in the field, it's Andre Eng's all by himself in P9, and P10 Andreas Bruno's all by himself as well, so it's spread out a little bit.
There we have Andrew Eng on the screen as Bruce Nelson makes a big mistake through Gielan Bocht, but able to retain his position over Bill Tyler. So most definitely the driver of Bruce Nelson out of the northwest of the USA, he most definitely feels the pressure put on by Bill Tyler. Will he crack or will he withstand it? That's the big question.
As back up at the front, it's still there's something happened to Dudion, because that gaps came down ever so slightly, or my lifetime is probably playing up, but yeah.
Bill Tyler is going for the overtake though, and Bruce Nelson just gives it to him. That might have actually been a slowdown? No. I don't know. I think he just gave it to him, as we're gonna go on to the replay to see if Snelson did just lift because of giving to it, or if that was a slowdown. I don't see anything that Bruce Nelson could have done wrong that would have given him an slowdown. So yeah, I would say Snelson just gave up that 7th position.
Yeah, yeah, he's back up at the front looking at the leader, Dudion. Yeah, I was just mentioning as well, he was about 2.5 seconds ahead, but now the gap's down to 1.2 seconds, so I don't know if Dudion's had a slowdown or made a mistake, but Rob Olenek has closed the gap down to him.
You can see it there on that lap number 10. He lost about 1.7 seconds to Rob Olenek, so that most definitely did do quite the damage, as they're now within 1.3 seconds of each other. Then we have the number 1 driver of Michel Tedino, Frenchman, who did win quite a few Lotus 49 championships, too many to count. Nearly as dominant as Gernot Fritsche is in the other Lotus, the Lotus 79. One battle, Ryan, that I have been watching with quite some big eyes all the time is the battle between Robert Plumley and Colin Bentley for the 11th place, as they go off in quite a few corners but never seem to be able to make that pass happen.
Yeah, I've been watching Plumley and Bentley as well for quite some time. I've just been keeping an eye on this battle for most of the race, and they've been stuck together like glue, and they've not been separated. And I think Bentley's quicker in some parts of the track, but Plumley's just able to keep him behind, and I'd say Plumley's better in the final sector of the track. So yeah, this battle's been really close for most of the race, and it'll be interesting to see what happens on the final laps of the race, if Bentley can try and get by or not.
8 more laps to drive. We are on lap 13 of this 20-lap race here at the Circuit Park Zandvoort, just on the coast of the Netherlands. As still Michel Tedino is leading ahead of Rob Olenek, 2.2 seconds ahead of him. Then we have Roman Pawlowski already about 10 seconds back on Michel Tedino over train grade in 4th, and Daniel Sadro still rounding out to top 5 of the race.
As back up at the front, it's still Dudion leading the race by round about 2.3 seconds, I think. So Michel's managing to maintain that gap, and I'm still not sure what happened to him to get the gap, or for the gap to come down so much. I don't know if he's having issues with his brake pedal again, but it's maybe he's just pacing himself and just maintaining the pace and not having to push too much.
As Colin Bentley continues to try and harass that transmission of Robert Plumley, probably throwing everything but the kitchen sink at him to get past, but Robert Plumley still continues to be the better man, withstanding that pressure.
Sorry, Steph.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Bentley's closed up a little bit on him. It seems to be under braking that Bentley can close up on him, but on the exit of the corners, Plumley seems to have a better exit and just more traction.
Last lap, Rob Olenek made a little bit of a mistake. He dropped about 5/10 once again to Michel Tedino, who is putting in quite some fast lap times now. 34.113 was his last lap 13 that was, which is only about 55 1,000ths of a second slower than his qualifying pace. So Michel Tedino most definitely trying to keep that hammer down as far as he can.
Yep, as behind them, just in third place as well, Roman Pawlowski is all by himself. Over Trengrade is, I have to say though, Trengrade is closing that gap slowly on Pawlowski, so we could be on for a battle for the final step of the podium possibly.
It does seem like that Roman Pawlowski is having damage that he has to deal with, as his last time around was 53.097 versus a 34.9214 over Trengrade, who once again Tokyo drifts into turn 1. Perfectly safe though, no worries, just a little bit of a drift. Over Trengrade always loves a loose car, and most definitely shows it off just the second time now. only in this race, but I think that was a little bit down to a too early downshift on his part rather than just a loose setup in general. As once again into Schiefluck, hits a little bit off a grass patch. Go ahead, Ryan.
As I was just looking further back as well, and this battle of Plumley. Oh, something's happened to Robert Plumley. He's had an accident, I think.
Oh. Yeah, that car is a little bit done. Let's see what happened there into Hans Ernst Boch. That is just ahead of Colin Bentley, and let's see on the replay. Goes to the middle of the track, over to the right end, loses it completely, cannot save it, rolls back onto the track, and oof. He got hit by Colin there. Unlucky stuff there from Colin Bentley, just not able to avoid that spinning number 7 out of him.
Yeah, Bentley was just the unfortunate victim in that accident. Plumley just lost under braking, as we've seen on the replay, and just Bentley came into the corner, just didn't see Plumley coming, and yeah, it just got ploughed on the front by Plumley. But I was so unlucky because that was a great battle between those two, and unfortunately that battle's been finished, you could say.
From the onboard of Colin Bentley, it nearly looked like he thought that Robert Plumley is gonna go a little bit more across the track and he's just gonna sneak by on the inside. But yeah, sadly for him, Robert was able to stop it pretty much on the apex, and that left Bentley with nowhere to go. That means now Bentley in 11th place. He's still running strong ahead of Antonio Rees, but probably he will lose that in just a little bit. As you can see there, Antonio Rees not too far behind the number 11 car of Colin Bentley.
As Rees has got the run in the final corner, it looks like he's got the slipstream while he make a move up the inside as they head down to turn 1. He's going for it, and yeah, he's up the inside, and I thought it was going to be contact there as he tried to get it stopped under braking, but fair play to Bentley, he's holding it on the outside as Rees is up the inside and up into another position.
Yeah, Antonio Rees continues his comeback run as he started in 9th place. Now up to 11th place. Colin Bentley still very impressive. He gained 7 positions. He started in 19th, now in 12th place. Up ahead though, Michel Didino completely unimpressed by all of that. Started in 1st, still leading about 2.5 seconds ahead of Rob Olin.
And just look at Olenek as well. I don't think Rob has an answer to Michel today. Michel's just been in a class of his own, but fair play to Rob. He's been trying to keep the gap, and he's maintained the gap at times, but when it comes to pace, Michel's just been that a little bit quicker.
So there might be like 2 battles forming in the last stages of this race. The first one is that 3rd place battle between Roman Paslowski and Ove Trengerud. Right now it's separated by 2.3 seconds. Ove Trengerud isn't the faster driver of the two, but Roman Paslowski, with the damage he's having, he is quite inconsistent. Last lap a 34.8. The lap before that only 35.1. So yeah, I'm not sure about Roman Paslowski right now, but Ove Trengerud most definitely is catching him very slowly. It's still not doing the last 4 laps, or rather last 3 laps, as they're gonna end lap 17 in just a few moments. The second battle might be forming between Daniel Sandro and Billy Bob Wright for 5th place right now. Daniel Sandro, he is also having quite some issues with his car right now. Only the last 2 laps of 36.0 and a 36.3 versus a 35.6 and a 35.7 by Billy Bob Wright. He is most definitely catching by quite a bit, and that might be enough to catch him by the last lap and maybe try something for that last spot in the top 5.
I was watching Sandro as well. I don't know if I can't see any visible damage on his car, but the exit of the final corner, I did notice he was having to use a lot more steering input than he would like, so maybe he's struggling with some understeer possibly. But Billy Bob Wright's slowly catching him, so could be on for another battle. But it just seems to, throughout the field, it seems to have settled down a little bit as we head into the final couple of laps.
As now Marco Ravioli gets lapped by Daniel Sandro. Will he also leave room to Billy Bob Wright? Yes, he does, but he compromises Billy Bob Wright there a little bit. Had to go around the long way, didn't or wasn't allowed on the apex there. As they're now gonna come into the Hans-Ernst Bocht for the 18th lap. Rob Olenek, he started in second place. Still is your second place driver, 3.7 seconds behind Michel Dirignac. A very uneventful race for him, and it seems like it's going to be a very uneventful second place, unless something happens to the driver of Michel Dirignac. I don't think that he will be able to challenge him in these last 2 laps for that first place.
So it looks like at the moment the final I was about to say the final 3 podium positions are pretty much nailed, but I'm looking at Roman Paslowski, and Ove Trengrid has closed that gap down to him, and he's catching him bit by bit.
Yeah, last lap once again 6/10 slower by Paslowski than it was from Ove Trengrid. So yeah, I wouldn't count Ove Trengrid out of this battle, but we know that Ove Trengrid is a little bit on the careful side when it goes to passing. Roman Paslowski, a lot of wheel spin coming out of Bocht 10, going into the Hans-Ernst Bocht now. Bocht, by the way, just means turn in the Dutch language, in case you didn't know that, as once again, for the penultimate time, they go through Kumo and Arie Luyendyk Bocht. There's also a lap car ahead of them. That's Herbert Prinz. Don't think that he will be of any problems to Roman and Ove Trengrid. As once again, we're looking over the Ford engine of that Lotus machine. Herbert Prinz, as expected, a lot of room given to both of them, and I would say Ove Trengrid has now caught Roman Paslowski. So this is going to come down to a last lap shootout right behind the rear tires of Michel Dirignac and
just watching Ove as well, and just the way he's throwing that car around is absolutely awesome to watch, especially through this round this long right-hander as well. He's just absolutely throwing this car sideways, trying to catch Paslowski, and he's absolutely just about right on the rear end of him.
All this is happening about 15 seconds behind your leader of Michel Dirignac, who is now coming through Hans-Ernst Bocht, as Ove Trengrid really getting close to that rear of Roman Paslowski through Bocht 10. Now coming up to Hans-Ernst Bocht, the real last passing opportunity for this lap. As Roman Paslowski makes a little bit of a mistake, Michel Dirignac is going to cross the start-finish line to win here the Dutch Grand Prix in the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Series, as Rob Olenek second place. Roman Paslowski, though, he might still lose that third place to Ove Trengrid as they come through Arie Luyendyk Bocht for the very last time. Ove Trengrid with a good run, has a little bit of a slide though. He's not going to be able to take home that third place. He comes home in fifth place, right behind Roman Paslowski. Fifth place goes to Daniel Sandro. Sixth place, Billy Bob. Bill Tyler will take home 7th place, just ahead of Bruce Nelson. So that pass by him was most definitely quite the good one. Maybe Snelson not with the best decision to do so, to let him by, as Andrew Enck 9th place, and rounding out your top 10 will probably be Andres Bruno. With all of that action and now behind us, we're gonna quickly step aside for just a few moments to take a breather, but we will be quickly back to the post-race show where we will run you down the unofficial finishing order, talk to some of the drivers, and close off an eventful race. So don't step away too far as GSRC will be back after these messages. Welcome you all back to Grand Prix Legends post-race show, streaming to your home on the global SimRacing channel via the iRacing eSports network. And what a race we saw, dominated by Michel Trigno, about 5 seconds ahead of Rob Olenek, who had nothing to throw at Michel Trigno all race long. 15 seconds behind your leader, Roman Paslowski, crossed the start-finish line only about a tenth ahead of his rival over Ringway. 5th place, rounded out by Daniel Sadro. 6th place, he started right there. Philippe Bob right behind him. Also the same thing for him and Bruce Nelson. 7th to 7th and 8th to 8th. The next pass that we saw was Andrew Eng. He started in 10th place, finished in 9th place, ahead of Andres Bruno, who finished in 10th place.
Finishing in 11th was Antonio Maurice. 12th place was Colin Bentley after that issue with Robert Plumley. 13th was Marco Ravioli. 14th was Robert Evans. 15th was Herbert Prince. 16th was Robert Reynolds. Robert Plumley unfortunately had issues in 17th. 18th was Telmo Amaral. 19th was Marcellus Brunin. 19th, sorry, and rounding out the results was Colin Cooper.
Yeah, and Ryan, we have said it a few times in the broadcast already, but Circuit Park Zandvoort today really showed these guys who is a boss in that Lotus 49.
Yeah, Michel Dudion just showing once again why he's one of the, well, how can I say, one of the masters in the Lotus 49. But he didn't have it all his own way. He was under pressure for a bit from Rob Olenek and Roman Paslowski, proving once again that he's a consistent driver and always up there by finishing on the podium. And today that was probably one of the best races to watch this season so far, and I'm looking forward to doing more of the same next week.
And Ryan, next week we have a little bit of an interesting track. It's gonna be twisty and it's gonna be fast. It's a Barcelona historic, pretty much an unknown factor in the series because we have never raced there, especially with the Lotus 49. What can we expect from next week, especially now knowing that Mick has to do a little bit of a catch-up points-wise?
Barcelona, I think, with the long stretch and the middle sector being a twisty section as well, I think it's going to be a fantastic racing. it's also the first time, like you mentioned, that the series is visiting in there. So it'll be interesting to see how these little nippy cars go around Barcelona.
Well, Ryan, it seems like that nobody wants to talk to us. Everybody wants to get into the plane and fly over to Daytona. So with that, GSRC would like to thank once again the iRacing Esports Network for having us on their talent lineup to bring you the greatest shows on iRacing into your home. Make sure to like and subscribe to their channel if you haven't done so yet. On top of that, we'd like to thank everyone on track for today for the great show, and especially Lotus 49 community for contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Right now on your screen, you can see all of the companies that provide us with their great hard and software. GSRC use this to deliver you the best possible show. Additional thanks goes to Tuna Lounge, who provides us with her great masterpieces. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, please visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also find us on the social media platforms, Twitter with @GSRChannel, Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel, or on Instagram at GSRC_gram. All of the upcoming races for our other series are now sliding across your screen, so check them out and mark them down in your calendar to not miss another second of exciting racing action. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Ryan, Sean, and Dougie, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in as Michel Toudignon took away the victory here in Zandvoort. With that said, until next time, stay with and sayonara! And as always, race hard, race clean, and we'll see you on the track.